Hi, and welcome back to I Confess with Travis. I'm your host, Travis Bartlett. And today, I'm going to do something different on this 10th episode, if I ever have time or anything. But I think I might confess some things on here. And if we ever have time, I might maybe do a call. But if we don't have time, we may not do a call on here. So, remember in one of my stories I had posted on my YouTube channel about why I left Bass Pro? Well, I haven't actually forgotten to tell you guys the story. It's just, I've been so busy working at all these jobs and, making other content, and it's just, like I said, I haven't forgotten. It's just I just been really, really busy. Here's what's going down. So I was working at Bass Pro Shop for 2 years, and it turned out to be a really nice place to work at. I was a cashier, of course. It was about a year ago, and it was right around between March or April. Bass Pro started going downhill. They had lost about 30 people in the past 8 weeks. And this was going between like March or April. It was like kind of between them two. I got to where I was just doing all the work for everybody. I got tired of it. I got tired of doing all the work. I was doing everything. I got to where I was not just running the register, but I was also grabbing cards, doing go backs, putting stuff on shelves. I had to play manager a couple times because there was a couple times where we didn't actually have a front-end manager on the floor. And I mean, like I said, I did everything. I mean, I got tired of it. Right after I went and gave them my notice, I walked out. It was right at the end of May, beginning of June. I had walked out. I gave them my notice and then walked out. Of course, I was on vacation at the time. And then about a couple weeks later, I started working at this place called, the company I worked at, they had like 3 different names for one job. It was called Ready Pack, Bonwell, or On Time Staffing. I didn't quite understand why a job would have those 3 many titles or whatever for a job. And then I was doing a second shift. All we did was basically make salads. And then, like, right around last year of November, we were doing this whole early voting thing, and apparently my stepdad, out of the blue, just randomly just said, well, you didn't quit your job working at Bass Pro Shop. You actually got fired. And I said, no. I said, I went and gave them my notice and walked out. I said, how'd you find out? He said, well, your mom took your little nephew, Cameron, to Bass Pro Shop to, like, look at some toys, look at the fish tank. They told her that I brought in cocaine into the store, which was a lie, because I didn't even do cocaine. I never brought it in. I've never even did cocaine. I don't know where that came from, but everybody in my family, they actually do believe me. And then my stepdad, he wanted me to sue them over a lie. And I'm one of those people, like, I'm not going to sue somebody over a lie just because they think I brought in cocaine into the store and started doing cocaine. And I think I know who the person was who basically told people that I actually brought in cocaine. Her name was Christine, and she was one of those people who was just constantly just lazy, and she was like in her 40s, and she was one of those people who would act just like Medea, like, those Tyler Perry movie, Medea movies, basically. She was one of those people who would always, like, start stuff, make up lies, wants people to feel bad for her. Like, she was one of those people who would always just sit down at every single register. Like, she has to have a chair at the register because she would tell people that she had arthritis. And I'm thinking, okay, well, the woman, she's like in her 40s. And she's going around telling, trying to get all these customers to feel bad, saying, well, my doctor says I can't stand up. I have to sit down. And I'm not trying to be mean, but I've worked with a lot of people who had different disabilities like arthritis, people having cancer, people working with old age, or people, working in wheelchairs. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not that that's a problem. I'm just saying, like, because, like, if you're one of those people who constantly go on and on and on, then they're going to figure out, you're just wasting your breath trying to get people to feel bad for you, making yourself feel like a liar. I mean, she was one of those people who would always like watch movies on her phone, listen to music on her phone, play games on her phone, and just does whatever she wants. Me and a few other associates really got on to her talking about, because she was basically making up lies about how we were so lazy and that we don't do things and we don't take care of customers well. She's bringing up lies about to us, even though it's mostly about her. And right after I had already quit my job over there, someone had told me that she recently just got fired from Bass Pro this year for stealing people's identity at the club booth where they give out like credit cards and stuff. And I'm guessing, since she was accusing me of bringing in drugs and cocaine and accusing other people, I'm just glad that she got fired. I mean, like, you don't make stuff up like that, That's just nothing but lies, and that can easily get you fired for blaming other people for getting them fired, you know what I'm saying? And see, nowadays, you can't even, like, trust people anymore. But once I heard that she got fired, I was like, well, I hope she deserved, because all those lies that she's been bringing up about us being lazy and stuff, even though all that stuff is mostly just about her. Even though I already went and gave them my notice. So they can't fire me if I've given them my notice. And then as I was working at ReadyPack or Bondwell or On Time Staffing, like I said, the company's got so many different names. It's just so confusing. Anyway, I was working there for a year. They have, and what a lot of people do and don't know about what the company is like, you're basically just making salads, and it's like in a warehouse, and all we do is, make salads and then ship them off to like stores and restaurants, to a lot of people who want to buy a salad. When I actually applied for the job, I grabbed me a flyer, and of course I wasn't paying any attention to it. But my mom noticed it, and I wish I had the flyer with me to show proof. But it said it was for friendly felonies. So I'm thinking, like, I didn't see that in the flyer until my mom noticed it. I'm like, great, I'm going to be working with a bunch of felonies, criminals. But these people, they never really used me. Basically just working, like, that's all we did was work, basically. And I was surprised because, like, you think, like, if you're gonna be working with like criminals or felonies, you think that they're gonna be taking advantage of you. Well, they didn't. The only thing that got me the most, even though I've been there for a whole year, I recently figured out that it is a #1 toxic workplace I've ever worked at. If you ever thinking about wanting to work for them, I would not recommend it. They treat their employees like crap. They don't care. Sometimes we get into fights. Not like fist fights, just like arguing kind of fights. And then there was a couple times where I had actually fell on the job and they didn't seem to care about it. I was like, what kind of job does not want to help people when there's, crazy situations that's going on? The only thing I've noticed, unprofessional place. They're never organized. They never get their, stuff straight. They got these machines. They're like extremely old, and they will break down like 100 times a day, and you will be standing there for hours and hours and hours just trying to figure out what's going on, what we're gonna do next. And then sometimes you go into work and you don't even get anything done because their whole machine is down. They'll say that the warehouse is too hot, even though you're working in the 30 to 35 degree temperature, basically. You have to work in the freezing cold. The only thing I can tell you is that there's just one thing, like, I'm not trying to make this up. Like, let's say, like, if you and someone was in the bathroom having sex, like I said, I'm not trying to make this sound stupid, but like, they ain't gonna do nothing about it. Like, they're just gonna like let it go. Like, they're not gonna report you. You're not gonna get fired. I mean, if you do decide to actually work in that environment, you're gonna see how toxic it is. I mean, you're not gonna like it. I mean, I'm just surprised I haven't gotten fired. I basically, what I just did recently, I just like, even though I've been there for 1 whole year, I basically just walked out because they took away my phone and watch because they were accusing me of playing on my phone, even though I wasn't even on my phone. I don't know where the hell that came from. And to top it off, we're not allowed to have anything in your pockets. You can't even have a phone, watch, can't even have your keys, your wallet, or anything. Like, you have to leave all of that in the locker. They're very, very strict about it. And I'm thinking, like, well, what's the point? Like, I'm not trying to make this sound dumb, but it's like, you got people nowadays that can, like, break into lockers and they can be taking, like, your keys, your wallet, your phone. I mean, they don't care. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean about why you shouldn't trust lockers, but I just don't think, in that kind of environment, I don't think you should ever in your entire life put, like, your personal belongings in a locker like that. But right after I walked out, I started applying at a bunch of jobs. I went to this job place that's down in Macon. It's on Broadway in Macon. I always call it Job Connections, but I can't really figure out what the actual name is. But this is like a job company where they'll actually help you, like, find a job, like, instant. Like, they will have you instantly get a job the next day. And now I'm over here working at Goodwill, and I'm not trying to make myself look stupid, but I recently just found out that Goodwill is a religious store, which I didn't know about it. Because I remember on my first day, I had just started on July 26th, and I was on my first 15-minute break. It was like 10 o'clock when I went on my break. And then all of a sudden, like, as I was on break, one manager and a couple associates are, like, all in the break room, and I'm thinking maybe they're just probably gonna, have a meeting or whatever, but turns out they were actually in the break room praying. And I'm over here thinking, like, did I just, like, walk into a church or something? Like, I'm not trying to be mean, because, like, I'm not trying to be mean about people that are religious. Like, I mean, like, there's a lot of people that could be religious about everything, but I just didn't realize it was a religious store. And it basically caught me by surprise. And I'm thinking, like, when did I start walking into a church? I did not expect that to be in a Goodwill store. What was going on at the time until someone told me that it was a religious, company. There's nothing wrong about people being religious. Well, anyway, I think that basically wrapped up my stories about the 2 jobs I basically quit working on and the whole story behind them. Looks like I just got done with the first half of the episode. Looks like I might go ahead and maybe make a second call after my break. All right, welcome back to I Confess with Travis. And today I'm going to be talking to a veteran. He's going to tell us a story about somebody who's wanting to hurt themselves. So this is going to be a story. Let's go ahead and take my first call. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm sitting on my porch right now with a candle lit, just relaxing with a
bottle of wine. Oh, wow. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
So I hear you got a story you want to tell me.
Yeah, I got a pretty wild one I want to talk about. It was a pretty crazy time in my life. So there I was, no shit. I was overseas, right? I'm active duty Army, so I was overseas, deployed. I thought I was only going to be over there for a little while. It turned out to be a year. I end up coming back home. I go to a school for my, for my job. I end up going. It's another additional 3 months And mind you, somebody I know, um, they're they keep telling me they're gonna hurt themselves or they really are struggling and stuff.
Oh,
And
I
I'm
know what
like,
those kind of people are. I can't think of what the word is, but I know what you're talking about.
yeah, it's rough, man, because you're like, I want to help you, but I'm busy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't control this aspect of my life.
Right.
And it kept going on and on until about, I get done with the whole year on, and then I'm back for this schooling time, and all of a sudden, what do I hear but a call that says, I'm seriously about to hurt myself. I can't do this anymore, and I'm right in the middle of this paramount moment in my life where this school is either going to make or break me. Or at least I thought that at the time. So I dropped everything, and I'm like, I gotta go. Flew all the way home. I had to calm that person down for a while, just to, and luckily I was able to subdue it at that moment. But and then I was actually the school I was going to was able to let me come back. I had to restart, which kind of sucked. But at least I was able to kill two birds with one stone.
Right.
But I think that lesson taught me a big one of like a big lesson of like, your priorities can't always be work, work, work.
Right.
And ignore those around you though, because there's signs, and eventually it's a breaking point for everybody.
Yeah. See,
So it was.
See, I used to kind of go through that stage. I mean, I wouldn't say I was like going through suicidal, but there would be some times where I would feel like I would just come home from work and I would always complain about saying, like, I'm just done. I'm just going to end my life. And then I go through these, like I said, I wasn't trying to make it sound like I was being suicidal. I just kept saying, like, I'm just wanting to kill myself, and then, it turns out I actually have to see this doctor every 3 months, have to explain to him about what goes on with my crazy psychological life. Because it's not just that, because, like, I have, like, what you call, like, anger issues. And my doctor, is helping me out. He's prescribing me with, like, these pills that's supposed to, like, help me from not wanting to, like, get mad or let's say things I might say or do that might threaten people, and and then sometimes threatening myself. And
would you consider yourself an angry person, or do you think you just have a lot of angry thoughts?
I just have a lot of angry. I think when I was about a teenager, I was going through a lot of angry issues lately. I don't remember, but I would get mad about every little small, like tiny small little things. Like let's say, like for example, let's say if the TV broke, I will get so mad and I'll be like,
oh yeah,
like I can't get this TV to work, and then you pay someone out of money, and then you're like, oh my God, I spent like this amount of money just to get a TV to work. I mean, I'm not trying to make it sound like that, but then
that's how it is.
And it's not just about and it's not just that one thing. It could be everything.
Yes.
And then my doctor.
And it's hard too, because you're like, those little things add up over time. So it's like it's not like it's not like you're getting mad because of that one little thing. It's that everything filled up and broke the bread.
Exactly. And then, with my doctor, like I said, he prescribed me with these pills that's supposed to help me out. Because, see, I have autism. And sometimes with people that have autism, they might have, like bipolar, mixed emotion kind of feelings, So, and it's weird. Like, I mean, of course, like, I can actually control myself. But there's just sometimes, like, let's say if I don't take my pills, I feel like I'm going to go back to, like, my old self, But, and people's always ask me, say, well, why do you take pills? It's like, well, here's the thing. If I don't take my pills, and let's say my anger gets to me, and then let's just say I end up in jail somehow, So it's like, you just got to be careful. You just got to be careful, And then...
No, I get it.
And then what I do for, like, hobbies, so other than me, like, making, like, stupid comedy videos on my YouTube channel, it was just a hobby. Like, I got so bored because, everybody got to where they were just working, and I just say, you know what? I'm just gonna start a YouTube show, a YouTube channel, and like I said, I started making stupid comedy, just for fun. And then I did that for 5 years, and then I started my own series called The Best of Travis, and it's free. There's like 9 episodes if you ever want to watch it. And now I'm doing a podcast.
Yeah, I think those hobbies like that, like I did the same thing, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
my big hobby is running. I like going on super long distance runs.
Mm-hmm.
And I also have a podcast, Why We Serve with Benjamin Lake, where it used to be about people who serve, and now it's more just like I just talk to people about stuff.
Right.
But those hobbies where you can throw yourself into them are extremely important. Like that's where you get all the frustration and your energy
right
out, so you can actually focus on everything in the real world.
Exactly. And and I'm glad I actually found a hobby, because like when I was in my 20s, I was over here thinking I haven't done anything, and I feel like one day if I don't do if I don't do something, I feel like I'm gonna die, kind of way. But, well, I'm not trying to say like that, but like,
yeah.
But it's just like, but then once I found me a hobby, like I started like not not just recording, but also editing as well.
Yeah.
And it took,
people need purpose,
Yeah,
people need purpose, or what are we doing?
Right. And it's like and with hobbies, I'm not saying this about everything, but sometimes like people that do hobbies like are actually getting themselves better with their lives. But then there's some people, because like I don't know if you heard this saying, like where people say like, oh, hobbies and jobs will get you out of trouble and stuff. Well, not all the time. Not everyone's gonna do, that's gonna make you, do hobbies, and let's say it might get you in trouble one day. Like, you could be doing something stupid and then you could be locked up. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not saying I'm not saying everybody does that, but it's just, it just gives you some time to think and what you're doing, and, it keeps your brain going,
No, absolutely. I 100% I get that. You gotta have something that pulls the thoughts away.
Right.
Good or bad. You need that. I'm gonna shut down for a little while and focus on this shit, and I come back to these problems when my mind's a little more focused.
Right.
It's crucial.
It is. And see, like, and it's not just me that does this, but everybody's been doing this. It's like, how like when you get up in the morning, then you have to go straight to work. Like, I'm not saying everybody does this, but I will do this whole like I will literally walk into work and I'm have this whole bitch face, like, do not talk to me. I'm not in the mood, kind of person. I mean,
Yeah.
And it's like when you wake up, you're like, I'm not in the mood. Like, don't tell me anything. Like, when people say like have a Snickers, they always say, oh, you're not yourself. Well, everybody's not gonna be themselves. It's
100%.
like, but it's like, but with me, like, I don't mind, being happy all the time, but there's just some things like I just feel like I just don't care about, certain things, and I just get to the point where I just have to like let things go, like, let's say if someone wanted to fight you, then it's like, instead of like fighting with them, just say like, look, I'm not in the mood to fight, because I don't want to start anything, and stuff like that, and what you gotta do, you gotta stay focused and positive, and because like with me, like I grew up, see, like I told you earlier, like when I was in my teens, I used to have anger issues, and then I've had a lot of people just say, well, instead of you getting mad over, let's say, the smallest thing, just care less about it. It's, it's not that big deal. Things can be fixed, things can be replaced, and, but it's like with me, I get so attached to things. Like, it's like I'm one of those people who is like afraid to give something up.
Well, how old are you again?
I'm 32.
Yeah. I think a lot of people might disagree, but the older we get, you probably get rid of a lot of shit, but you start cleaning the stuff more.
Right.
So when you do this stuff, but especially when you were that younger age, I'm sure you were attached to a lot more stuff than you actually needed, So
right.
It's like when you lose that shit, you get pissed off about it.
Right. And see, like, I've heard this from a lot of people. They say, like, once you get to, like, well, I don't want to say a certain age, but, like, I think, like, when you hit, like, your 30s or 40s or, what is it, 50s, I think they say you get to where you can just care less about everything nowadays. And I'm thinking, like, that's true? And I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So I'm over here thinking, like, okay.
I just got to make it there.
Right.
Then I don't got to worry about it.
Right.
It's hard, man. Especially me, I got 4 kids, a wife, and I'm currently a drill sergeant.
See, I mean, it's hard for me because, it's kind of stressful for me right now because, I've been trying to find me a house, and right now I'm actually living at my parents', but there's nothing wrong with that. But the problem is, it's just, the housing marketing is just a bit too high. I can't seem to get me a house. Like,
well, it's rough right now because all the interest rates are so high.
Right.
I got lucky. I bought mine during COVID, but I know it's a major struggle right now.
Right.
So why would you jump into a mortgage with an 8 to 10% interest rate?
Right. And I mean, but it's just like, but I was also talking about, like, because, like, I had this whole thing planned out when I was, like, about to be 24. Like, this was, like, years ago. I was just about to hit 24. I was one of those people who wanted to get married, have kids, buy a house, and, like, do all of this at the age of 24. Well, not everything at 24, but you know what I'm talking about. But then, as the whole housing marketing got a bit too high and every interest rate and stuff, it's hard. I feel like I'm not making it sound like it's ruining my future, but it's hard.
It's extremely hard, and it's sad because I think a lot of people in our, like millennial era aren't going to know
right.
what it's like to live that kind of life where you have a family with the house you bought,
right,
and all this stuff. Like, that's just not going to be a common place thing anymore.
No, it's not. Yeah.
Where do you live at again?
I live in Atlanta. Well, actually, I used to live in Atlanta because that's where I was born and raised at. But I'm now living in Macon, Georgia, which is like an hour away from where I used to live at.
Okay. Yeah, so you're in the South too, so especially like I'm from the Midwest, but Southern and Midwesterners have this ideal of like you move away, and when you're like 18 to 20, and I feel like that's not the case anymore. Like,
right.
I want my kids to do that, but I know it's not necessarily the status quo anymore because it's extremely difficult to do. So times are just changing, man.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
And then as the years go by, it's making things a lot harder for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I'm sure it feels like there'll be a tipping point soon or something where a lot of stuff's going to change.
Right.
For the bad,
Right.
And we're going to have to do some serious changes.
Right.
So we'll see what happens, I guess.
Yeah, I hope so. If only things were so simple nowadays.
Yeah, it's good and bad,
Yeah.
There's so much advancement, there's so many things to do, there's so much opportunity, but then at the same time, everything's scary.
Oh, I know. See, I've gotten to where, like, nothing doesn't faze me anymore. I mean, I'm not trying to make that sound stupid, but, like, there's just a lot, like, there's just don't bother me anymore like it used to. And, like, see, I used to live, like I said, like I told you before, I used to live in Atlanta, Georgia, born and raised. And I would see all the crazy shit that goes on in Atlanta, especially, like, at nighttime. Because, there's a lot of things that go on at nighttime that people could be acting weird and strange at nighttime. And you just got to watch out for that. I'm not trying to make this sound stupid, but I feel like I just don't need to hear or see any of this, like, don't get me wrong, like, I'm not trying to make myself like I'm one of those people who rather, see it and hear it, but then it's like you don't want to, And I remember I was telling people all the time, I said, I wish someone would adopt me and take all this crazy, unnecessary things out of my head, things that I saw and heard. But, it gets to the point where
there's no magic.
Yeah, there's nothing.
For that,
But then I said, you know what? Just let it go. It's not the end of the world. It's gotten to, I mean, like, we've gotten to this whole world where we just don't care anymore, basically. And it's hard to, like, to do things without, let's say, getting shot or robbed or, and all that kind of, stuff that we have to go through.
Yeah, it's, again, like, there's so much at stake and so many worrisome stuffs, but I don't really know. I don't know what the right answer is.
I don't either. I mean, hey, it's the world we live in.
The world we live in, though, is like, there's so many things that, like, make you concerned about how the future is going to be.
Right.
It's like, because then your kids are going to be like, that's the world we live in, and it's going to keep progressing, and you're like, well, how fucking long does this go for?
Right.
What do we do?
Mm-hmm. It just makes you question about what's going on,
Mm-hmm. Every day.
Oh, yeah.
I really appreciate you for having me on. I'm glad I got to tell my story. I really don't tell that story to many people.
Right, well, thank you so much.
Yeah, man. I really can't thank you enough. I'm going to go get my kids woke up, so I'm going to get them to bed. It was great being on here. I will talk to you later. Thanks again.
All right, no problem.
All right, see you, man.
All right, bye. Okay, I really like this guy. It is hard out there when you're trying to actually get something done, and a lot of people don't seem to quite understand how this world works. I mean, I know I'm still questionable about it. I know everybody's still questioning about how this world works. I mean, I'm not the only one, but I can actually see that. And of course, like, when you're like a workforce or military or whatever, you're like hearing crazy weird stories. I mean, I understand that things happen for a while. I know I'm still going through a lot of struggling with my crazy psychological life. And it's hard. This whole normal person, even though one day you might, let's say you wake up and then it's like you might be mad about something. Like, you just got to understand, like, there's things that we can and can't do that's going to make us happy. Sometimes you just got to let things go and just kind of just move on. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and hop off this podcast, and I'm going to talk to you guys next week. If you guys actually want to be on my podcast, text 478-901-4445. That's 478-901-4445. And I will talk to you guys in the next week's episode. All right, take care.